Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and hit that bell.
Let's talk.
Hello, dear
The
fiends of the den.
dumbbell
I am back with more haunted
murder.
history of
And it was
Hollywood.
named the
And
dumbbell murders
today,
because it
I'm
was
actually
so
taking the time to
dumb.
talk about
Let's
a
talk.
murder that
The
happened in
dumbbell
1927.
murders.
The
And it
woman
was
who
named the
committed the
dumbbell
murder
murders because it was
became
so
a
dumb.
media sensation.
Let's talk.
Kind of
The
has
dumbbell
Chicago themes, but it took place
murders.
in
And it was
Queens, New
named the
York.
dumbbell murders because it
Let's
was
jump
so
into the tale
dumb.
of Ruth
Let's
Snyder.
talk. The dumbbell
Hello, dear fiends of the den.
murders.
I am back
And it
with
was
more
named
haunted
the dumbbell
history of
murders because
Hollywood.
it was
And
so
today, I'm
dumb.
actually taking the
Let's
time to
talk.
talk
The
about a
dumbbell
murder that happened in
murders. And it was
1927.
named the
The
dumbbell murders
woman
because
who
it was
committed the
so
murder
dumb. Now, Ruth Snyder, much like the fictional characters in Chicago of Velma Kelly and Roxy Hart, became a media sensation when she killed her husband. I mean, this story was splattered all over tabloids in 1927. So this murder was given the name the dumbbell murder because it was a crime so poorly executed that journalist Damon Runyon gave it that name because, quote, it was just so dumb. I mean, to go down in infamy and be executed because she was executed because of this murder, but to be executed because it was so dumb is just probably the worst legacy you can have as a human being. Ruth Snyder was an ordinary housewife from Queens, New York, and she was married to her husband, Albert Snyder. And apparently, she was not happy in her marriage. So one day, does not specify how, she met a man who became her lover named Henry Judd Gray. And they went on to commit one of the most infamous and dumb crimes of the 1920s. Now, her whole trial and her execution, which at the time New York State had the death penalty, turned her into a tabloid sensation. So it also inspired the classic noir film Double Indemnity. So let's check out how this whole murder went down. All right. So the dumbbell murder in 1927, Ruth Snyder, a discontented housewife, and Henry Judd Gray, a corset salesman, hatched a plan to kill Ruth's husband, Albert Snyder, for the insurance money. So Ruth had forged a double indemnity insurance policy in Albert's name, meaning his accidental death would yield out a $100,000 payment. So in 1927, $100,000 would be worth about 1.8, almost $1.9 million today. So that was an absolute fortune, but these two were so, I don't know, spectacularly incompetent that they got away with absolutely nothing. And three people ended up dead, two executed and one murdered. So this murder plot was like an absolute wreck from the start. So first, and I mean, this was absolutely brutal. Let me just go on to say, like, I can't even believe what I'm about to read. So just trigger warning. So first, they strangled Albert with picture frame wire and stuffed chloroform soaked cotton up his nose and hit him with a sash weight. Then they staged a fake burglary, but their cover story fell apart like almost immediately. So Ruth, oh dear Ruth, she claimed two, quote, giant Italians had broken in and knocked her unconscious and stole a bunch of her jewelry. And it was a robbery and they killed her husband. Now, I don't know which way she means giant. Italians are not like 6 feet tall. Or maybe like, under 6 feet or so. Maybe a few of us are luckily taller, but not all of us. And definitely not in the 1920s. But anyway, these police were taking her story down and they went to search the house and they found her stolen jewelry under her mattress. So she was taken into the station, and within hours, she gave up Gray's name and the two of them turned on each other. So this trial was a media circus and it fueled a tabloid war between the Daily Graphic, the Daily News, and Hearst's Daily Mirror. Now, they were both convicted and executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing Prison in 1928. And Sing Sing Prison is located in Ossining, New York, which is in Westchester County, New York, and it is still operational today. Ruth Snyder was only 32 years old at the time of her execution. I've got one more trigger warning for you about Ruth Snyder's execution. So, the execution of Ruth Snyder was famously captured in a clandestine photograph taken with a hidden camera strapped to a journalist's ankle. Now, that journalist was Tom Howard, a photographer who pulled off one of the most daring acts in tabloid history. Howard was hired by the New York Daily News to secretly capture Ruth Snyder's execution at Sing Sing Prison in 1928. Since cameras were strictly banned, he strapped a miniature camera to his ankle and rigged a shutter release up his sleeve of his jacket. So when the moment came, he pointed his toe at the electric chair and snapped the shot, capturing Snyder's final moments. The next day, the Daily News ran the infamous photo on its front page under the blunt headline, Dead. This image was so shocking that for decades afterwards, witnesses to executions were searched and forced to lift their pant leg to prevent hidden cameras. Now, this was a really bold move for journalism, and I am surprised this has never happened again. But now they do invite family to watch some executions, and I know there are cameras sometimes. I am really not one for that kind of capital punishment. I'm not down with it. So you can all Google the images if you would like to. I am not going to post them here. This is the Dark Entertainment Network, but I'm not looking to traumatize anyone. When you do Google this image, it comes up blurred like you see here, which is a good thing. It is not a pretty picture. But these shocking photos taken by Tom Howard of Ruth Snyder's execution stirred a lot of public outrage, but it did not immediately end the death penalty in New York State. It fueled debates about the ethics of capital punishment and the brutality of the electric chair. But New York State continued using the death penalty for decades, with executions at Sing Sing Prison lasting until 1963, and the state officially abolished capital punishment in 2004, though the last execution had taken place over 40 years earlier. So we in New York State here have only abolished the death penalty 21 years ago, just 4 years into the 21st century. I had to add in this dark tale because it's one of the darkest of the 1920s, and no one would have known of Ruth Snyder had she not killed her husband so poorly and in such a really terrible, brutal manner for the insurance money that she and her case became a tabloid sensation. But maybe because everything happens for a reason, that Tom Howard was meant to be there to take that picture to spark this discussion about the brutalities of capital punishment and the electric chair. Let me know what you all think in the comments, and thank you for joining me for this haunted history of Hollywood true crime story in the den. If you have any dark tales of Hollywood you would like to share, from movies to actors to directors, producers, anything you've got, email me at welcome to the den podcast at gmail.com. Thank you, dear fiends of the den. I appreciate each and every one of you who is part of this community. And if you do like this content, please share, like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell. Thank you for joining me in the den. The Dark Entertainment Network is here for all your macabre needs.